Hi guys, my name is Ishan and I'm from the TAMS class of 2021. I went to Liberty High School in Frisco before that, and currently I am at a med school named TCOM in Fort Worth. For those of you who may not know what TAMS is, it stands for the Texas Academy of Mathematics and Science, and officially it is known as a early college entrance residential program for gifted high school aged students. It was also the first one of these types of programs in the entire United States. And what that definition really means is that if you feel like high school isn't challenging enough for you, or that you are smart but you don't exactly fall in that top 6% bracket, just below that maybe, so you won't get that top 6% Texas benefit, or that you know that you're going to spend multiple years in higher education after high school and you feel like you need to get a head start so that you can maybe save some years and save some money on that, then TAMS is for you. The admissions process for TAMS now is a rolling admission, which means the earlier you apply, basically, the better it is for you, the better chance you will have of being accepted or actually being invited to an interview, at which you would also have to have a solid interview to be then accepted. You do need an SAT score, so you would need to take the SAT probably around the spring slash June, July date of your 10th grade year. Of your ninth grade year. You would have to take the SAT in the spring of your ninth grade year, or around June or July, those month SATs, because the application does open in August 1st, which you would be filling out August, the starting of your 10th grade year, which is, so you'd be ready for that basically with your SAT score. You'd also need transcripts for all of your classes since 7th grade, because that is what they look for. They want a good GPA and good academic standings since 7th grade. They want to see that you're basically on top of maintaining your good academic standings. You've also been taking part in extracurriculars, like maybe some sports that you play, or band, or orchestra, or theater, or music, whatever, something like that. And that you're really passionate and you do spend, I would say, at least a couple hours a week dedicated to that, to show that you know how to handle your time well and still do good academically, basically. So academically, once you do get into TAMS, it is definitely a more difficult and challenging than your academics in high school. But of course, that is one of the reasons you're there, right? And this is partly because you will be taking honors college courses at UNT, University of North Texas, but also because of the vigorous workload that TAMS gives to its students. On top of all the courses and the difficult academics that you have, you also have to take a large amount of courses per semester. You will be taking around 16 to 18 credits or hours per semester, which it does seem like a lot, but it's definitely manageable. There's around, 150 to 200 students at TAMS every year that manage to do that. So I've made a list of some of the pros and cons that I think maybe you should consider when deciding if you want to apply to TAMS or not. And obviously, this is not an exhaustive list, just some stuff to think about. Some pros I can think of is, obviously, you'll be able to save 2 years. So what happens is if you're accepted, you straight skip 11th and 12th grade of high school and you move to TAMS, and there you start your first year of your bachelor's degree. Okay, if you stay in state after TAMS, okay, let me clarify this. Once you finish your TAMS, 2 years of TAMS, you don't have a degree yet, because you've only done half of a bachelor's degree, right? You've only done half the credit hours required to do a bachelor's degree. That means after TAMS, you still have to attend an undergraduate institution to finish off the rest of that bachelor's degree. And so this is what this point pertains to. If you stay in state after TAMS for that rest of that undergraduate degree, the majority of the credits that you take during TAMS will apply, if not all of them. And if you stay at UNT after TAMS, which is the parent institution of TAMS, then everything that you've taken during TAMS applies without a question. TAMS also does offer multiple tracks that you can become a part of when you're applying to save even more years, if you do decide to stay at UNT after completing TAMS. Some examples are the computer science to IT tract, or the computer science to engineering, computer engineering tract, etc. These are in the computer science field, obviously. And these are both 2+2 programs, which means you do 2 years at TAMS, where you would traditionally be doing 11th and 12th grade of high school. And then after that, you do 2 more years at UNT, and then you would be done with your degree in either in information technology with probably a minor in computer science. I'm not entirely sure about that, but that's how I've heard it works. Or your major in computer engineering, etc. in 2 years. So basically, in 2 years of what you should have been a second year in college, you will be done with a 4-year degree. If you're if you're interested in medicine, then there's a traditional science tract at TAMS. After that, their pathway with that tract is called the traditional science to TCOM 3+4 pathway. TCOM is the medical school I am at right now, and that is a 3+4 program, which means, if you will do 2 years at TAMS plus 1 year at UNT, that equals a total of 3 years that you spent on undergrad, and then the 4 in medical school that is standard across the US. You cannot get around doing 4 years in med school. So that's 3+4 years. Basically, that's 7 years right there. Traditionally, if you want to do medicine, it takes at least 8 years after high school, considering you don't take any gap years or anything like that. And so this is allowing you to do that in 7 years with the additional 2 years that you skipped of 11th and 12th grade. So in the end, you end up saving 3 entire years in your educational journey to becoming a licensed physician in the United States. There are other tracks available too, other than computer science and traditional science, such as music, digital arts, and a new engineering track that they are adding this year, if that is something you're interested in. Another pro is that if you do decide to stay at UNT, you are given a full ride and stipend for up to 3 years, or if you finish your degree first, whichever one is first, after TAMS. What that stipend was, it changes from year to year, but when I was there, it was $20,000, and that was enough to cover, if I'm correct, at that time, the tuition, food, and dorm as well, which is basically everything you need. Another pro is the organizations. TAMS offers you the ability to become a part of many organizations, which are obviously student-led, but they are also faculty, managed. So they have a lot of credentials, those organizations. You being part of that is a really crucial part that institutions after TAMS really want to see, and it helps you get into those higher education positions where you would want to end up basically after TAMS. And finally, research. This is one of the biggest things that people come to TAMS for. It is something that almost every student at TAMS becomes a part of. Doing research at such an early age allows TAMS students to, when they're applying to their post-TAMS undergraduate institutions, have already maybe 1 or 2 publications and maybe a research article or maybe a book that a professor's writing, or at least some poster presentations on their resumes, which is something that's, as you can obviously imagine, very helpful, and really what sets you apart to, make you a competitive applicant to those higher, more prestigious universities, such as the Ivy Leagues and whatnot. So I have a few cons as well. In terms of cons, if you're planning on going to an out-of-state institution after TAMS, your credit transfer will not be as helpful as it would if you stayed in state. Maybe they'll only accept 60%, 50% of the credits you did at TAMS. So you wouldn't be able to save as many years as you thought, but the upside of that is those classes that you're just taking again will be the same classes you're having to retake, and that material will be easy for you, so it should be easy A's or 4.0s for you basically as you do those classes. And the other con is that you do have to live away from home. You live on the UNT campus in Denton, you live in McConnell Hall on the UNT campus in Denton. So it's not bad at all. Usually what it is all the TAM students, which will all be students that are roughly your age, you know, early high schoolers that skip grades and whatnot. So you're not really living with UNT students who will be older and whatnot. You're only living with people of your age, people in the TAMS program, which is good because, you know, you're basically 24/7 spending time with a tight community of similarly minded students and students with same goals as you, working in the same classes and whatnot. So that's an environment that really fosters and helps you during TAMS and during your experience at UNT, basically. And they have it split among, it's a 3-story building where usually the first floor, there's a hall called McConnell Hall where a lot of clubs have meetings. There's major events that happen that our organizations host and whatnot every year. The second floor will usually either be males or females, and the third floor will be the flipped other. So males and females are always on separate floors as well. And of course, on top of that, there's always faculty and some people 24/7 in McConnell Hall at the front desk, and the counselors and stuff have their offices in McConnell too. So you just have to come down to first floor and go talk to them. So it's really helpful. You do have a curfew, so if that's something your parents are worried about, you have to be back by 11 p.m. on weekdays, and they check in on you every day. And I think 1 a.m. or 1 a.m. or 12 a.m. on weekends. And you do, of course, get many weekends where you can go home, spend with your family and whatnot. And those amount of free weekends, travel weekends, they call them, you have increase as each semester goes on. So yeah, I hope this has been helpful. If you have any questions, you can reach out to me. But thank you, and I hope you guys choose to apply to TAMS.